Today's movie has the coolest wedding crasher scene ever. I mean, this is a wedding I'd actually enjoy going to. Welcome to Sick Flicks, where I take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to help you embrace your inner gore geek. I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, and today we're tackling Lewis Teague's classic monster movie, Alligator. Released in 1980, Alligator helped promote the idea that people were buying baby alligators and flushing them down the toilet into a sewer system where they'd grow into massive predators. Unless you live in places like Florida, this is probably not accurate, but it sure does make for a compelling creature feature. Scream Factory has just released Alligator as a 2-disc collector set with Blu-ray and 4K discs. It's packed with extras, including the TV cut of the film many of us first experienced, and can be purchased through my Amazon affiliate link below. It looks great. But enough about that. Can Alligator devour enough hapless citizens to earn the coveted 5 barf bag rating? Let's get to the gore and find out. Oh, and before we get started, today's movie is sponsored by patrons Russell Shiley, Disinterested Handjob, clearly the best kind, and Mark Eve. If you'd like to help sponsor some videos and free me from the shackles of YouTube's tyranny, you'll find a link to my Patreon in the pinned comment and description below. And now, let's get bloody. We fade in on this alligator. I like that Alligator isn't beating around the bush. It promises alligator and it delivers from the first frame. I wish more movies did this. And here's a live look at me in my backyard. Seriously, I have gators in the backyard a lot. Then this episode of Swamp People turns dark as the gator attacks. You could say he was the instigator. Look at this dude filming it. Those Faces of Death people are gonna pay me a fortune for this footage. Hey, is that the Seminole native from the MST3K Catchin' Trouble short? Where's Ross when you need him? Oh, look at that little gator. He's cute. Man, you can't sell these little guys nowadays, probably thanks to this movie. Also starring Mick Jagger's less talented brother, Dean. No, not really. Yes, Missouri, the land of alligators. Is this alligator living in an aquarium lined with Nerds candy? I'm calling the ASPCA. But our gator-fueled bliss is cut short when Ralph Cramden here decides to flush the little dude down the toilet. This may seem terrible, but there was no water in that gator tank earlier, so this is for the best. Oh man, he flushed us too. Uncool, Ralph. I'm gonna need some Dramamine. Screenplay by John Sayles. Sayles has 2 Oscar noms as a screenwriter. Amazingly, neither of them were for this script. I don't know about you guys, but I hope our little buddy finds a wise old rat down here who teaches ninjutsu. Looks like he's only gonna find raw sewage. 12 years later, we joined Detective Robert Forster buying a puppy. That's a cool jacket. Looks like he could go be an extra in the Beat It video later. No wonder Tarantino based Jackie Brown's Max Cherry on this character.
I know just what you're going through.
Did he just casually insinuate that Max Cherry is going bald? Then we get some exposition.
Had another one. We swiped him out in front of a grocery store. I must have been in there 2 minutes and bingo.
Did you call the cops?
I am the cops.
Forster buying a puppy in a movie about a killer alligator. I don't like this pooch's odds for survival. But enough world building. Let's get back to the hot sewage. Looks like Robert here is investigating a homicide. Or at least part of a homicide. Good thing he's the long arm of the law. But it appears there's something up with the water because it's made this lady's dog grow tenfold in 2 months. This is what happens when you feed your dog roids. They just blow up. I've seen it 100 times. And if you guess the same thing is happening with our toilet gator, give yourself a screenwriter's credit. Meanwhile, the pet store owner appears to be moonlighting as a dog catcher. So this is how he gets his stock and keeps prices low. Brilliant. But he's not taking his dogs to the pound, he's selling them to science. This suddenly feels like a prequel to Man's Best Friend. Then our scientist reveals his latest discovery. More exposition.
Gotcha, I need a lot more animals. The old man's breathing down my neck for results. Now get cracking.
Robert Forster, meanwhile, is investigating. Are you down there, Georgie? I hear you all float. Oh, wait, he's just here to interrogate country music star Travis Tritt. I hate Travis Tritt. I got a feeling he's not going to be singing It's a Great Day to Be Alive much longer. Pet store guy's dumping all the dead dogs. You may remember All Dogs Go to Heaven, but in this movie, all dogs go to the sewer. Look out, we've got a flubbler. Here you can see him walk deeper into the sewer with the Chuck graffiti on the left. But the next shot has the Chuck graffiti on the right. Is he leaving already? I guess not. Looks like he found the dog dumping platform. Wait, is this Pet Cemetery now? Either way, this movie takes us to the nicest places. Uh-oh, look out. He's got company. This guy's checking out what's going on. You could call him an investigator. Damn, this guy couldn't hit water if he fell off a boat. Then he heads deeper into the sewer. I fully expect he's gonna run into DOS effects at any moment. he's busy searching for Scoob and Crazy Drazy, he's being stalked by the camera. Then he gets attacked. Snapping necks for some DOS effects indeed. And this means even more work for Forster. I wonder if he has to file a separate report for each limb he finds.
If this keeps up, I'm gonna open a spare parts shop.
Hey, settle down. I'll be making the terrible jokes here, movie. After some more exposition, Detective Forster has already tracked down the mad scientist from 5 minutes ago. Damn, he's good. Remember, when you're being questioned by a homicide detective, you have to be careful not to finger yourself. Wow, I'm sure that would get a hell yeah. Maybe he's taking the week off. Back at the precinct, Robert gets the alligator press junket out of the way by answering a bunch of stupid questions. No joke, Forster is so good in this movie.
Aren't you the same David Madison who lost his partner in the Hotel Baldwin incident in St. Louis?
Thanks, reporter backstory. It turns out Forster's former partner was shot in the line of duty. It was probably a gator. And the National Probe is all over this story. Whoa, wipe and star cuts? Did someone just get a My First Video editor? Somewhere Homer Simpson is nodding in approval. And they pick on his hair yet again.
You ought to see a hairstylist. They let your hair grow down and then whip across. Nobody will be able to see it.
Fun fact, Forster made some jokes about his own hairline and Sayles incorporated them into the script. With no more leads, Detective Cherry heads to the sewers to get the straight poop. These two explore the place. They needed a map to avoid getting lost, but our title character has no such issues. It's probably because he's a navigator. I know we talk about going to the cinematic sewer a lot on this show, but this time we might actually be there. Later on, they consult the map about their location.
Where are we? According to this, Cleveland.
No, I've been to Cleveland. This place is way nicer than Cleveland. And a minute later, the young cop he brought along has gone missing. Are they setting us up for a jump scare, or is he gator bait? With the kid cop still out of the picture, our hero descends further into the movie. But all he finds is this Steadicam from earlier, and a well-placed jump scare. This is no time for playing grab-ass, son. But the gator is lurking behind them. He's gonna help them read their map. You could call him a Gatorade. And after all this dramatic build-up, we're finally rewarded with a real scare. Much like Jaws, they had a hard time getting the mechanical alligator in this film to work. Looks good here, though. No erectile dysfunction in this shot. They flee, but the manhole cover is jammed, and the gator grabs this rookie by the foot. He may not have been a detective yet, but he was clearly a gumshoe. And back topside, Forster starts to run across skeptics who can't believe such a thing could exist down there. Also, this feels a lot like a similar scene in Jaws 2. Which makes sense since Alligator is basically Jaws in a different locale. We then make a quick detour to meet our romantic lead. She's really good at handling that snake. Nothing? Really? What the hell is going on here? Then this happens.
It's one of your nightmares.
Nightmare your ass. There's something down there. Now, it'll take a lot of guys, but we'll flush them out.
Alright, movie, that's your second warning. Spurred on by Forster's story, this reporter heads down to the sewer to do some investigative journalism. Body count has been a bit low so far, so I'm gonna allow it. While Jimmy Olsen pads the runtime and his Instagram feed, our gator decides to go into stealth mode like he's Solid Snake. Well, at least he got a few pictures for plot purposes, and another nod to Jaws. Back at home, Forster's doing a little reading. This book is a real crock. Wait, I mean alligator. Then, in a stroke of plot convenience, the next scene finds Detective Max Cherry checking out the photos from Olsen's camera. The sewer must have a post office in it. It's also kind of wild that the photos were developed by Fat Bastard from Austin Powers. Back at home, Forster tries to punch up the second act with some script rewrites. The city's next step is to send in the big guns. Literally. Let's hope these SWAT guys are well seasoned. Over at HQ, Forster is doing his best impression of that Charlie Day conspiracy map meme.
Pepe Sylvia, look in the mail. Well, this whole box is Pepe Sylvia!
Bored, Forster grabs the mic and starts working on his latest freestyle. Why did they set up base camp in 8 inches of standing water? Oh wow, they brought their own pots for the gator to cook them in. Also, not gonna lie, the SWAT team's marching band needs a lot of practice. And it turns out the scientist who's helping them with the case was the little girl who brought the gator home at the start of the movie. Man, this is the most convenient plotline ever. Turns out the gator is way too smart for all of this, though. But I bet he's mad he missed out on all that free food. Meanwhile, over in the neighborhood where the Griswolds lost their hubcaps, the gator does his best Kool-Aid Man impression. Oh yeah! Look at this effect shot. Luckily, Ben Tramer's on the scene and... we're gonna need another Ben Tramer. Unfortunately for this cop, our gator doesn't respect the badge. And miniatures. Look at those cute little street lights. Since the animatronic didn't always work, they had to use a real gator surrounded by miniatures in some scenes. And now that the excitement's over, let's relax with some art projects. I'm making plaster casts. With all the other avenues exhausted, the mayor does the only thing he can. He calls in noted big game hunter, the Reverend Jim Jones. Needless to say, this is the film's version of Quint. And zoom. Then Jim Jones shows us his mating call. Back at the lab, Forster is trying to get his lady friend wet. Come on, Danny, I'm just teeing these things up for you. Back in the movie, I like that the cops are basically going door to door looking for an alligator. Too bad for them, the gators moved uptown. This is why I have to check my pool every morning in Florida. They head back to the lab and ask some tough questions.
I understand you manufactured a synthetic form of testosterone. Why didn't you market it?
Being that it tended to hyperexcite the organism's metabolic rate.
I knew it. These guys are making tren. That's the only logical explanation for a gator blowing up in size that fast while barely lifting. And now Robert's getting removed from the force for asking too many questions. Guess he can just go ahead and open that vacuum repair shop he's been dreaming of. Ah yes, a timely Breaking Bad reference. Newly unemployed, he heads off to see his lady friend and share his big plan.
I'm gonna find that alligator and I'm gonna kick his ass.
Do alligators even have asses? Please leave me your scientifically backed research in the comments. Hey, remember Travis Tritt? Yeah, he's still in this movie. And the puppy is still here too. Back over at the pool, the gator has clearly ordered DoorDash. I hope they got his order right. And holy shit, they let that gator eat a kid. That or they dumped cherry Kool-Aid in there. Back at Forster's place, he shows us why he's single.
We're gonna go to dinner now, right?
Right.
And all the while, I'm gonna be wondering whether or not you're gonna come back and spend the night with me.
His pickup game definitely needs some work. Somehow this terrible line does work though, because we're treated to a little pillow talk. Of course, it's about how his partner was brutally murdered in a drug bust, but I'll take it. And here we get a live look at how everything went wrong at the People's Temple. Listen, men, I'm mounting a dangerous expedition into this alley. Ah, they're hunting the elusive trash gator. I didn't know gators were in old crusty issues of Hustler and empty bottles of Mad Dog. I'm gonna leave some in my backyard later. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Budget Jim Jones and best value J.J. Walker walk into an alley. Then the Reverend Jones wanders right into this jump scare. Gator has given Reverend Jones a little oral action.
Hell yeah.
Oh, now you show up. And not like that, you pervs. I mean, he's chomping him with his mouth. Wait, that still sounds dirty. And don't look now, but Dr. Marissa's getting clingy.
I understand how you must feel.
Don't understand me so quick.
And just like that, I guess they're broken up. That Forster's a love him and leave him kind of dude. Next, the movie gets psychedelic. This was an awesome scene, but I liked it better when it was in color. But it does lead to football practice. And they're back together.
Are you gonna come with me?
Well, we'll see.
Well, we'll see.
Also, I'd like to take a moment to point out that this police chief has the coolest eyebrows this side of Ox Baker. Do you kids even remember Ox Baker? Christ, I'm old. We then jump to Thunder in Paradise, already in progress. Fresh out of ideas, the Harbor Patrol decides to get airborne. Holy shit, that's a lot of grenades. Man, what an explosive third act. Over on Amity Island, Jaws scopes out a fresh meal. And now they're just feeding him. Bob is half the man he used to be. Now that the Gators had his fill of cops, it's time for him to get some barbecue. He's crashing the Slade Pharmaceuticals party. I'm telling you, this gator can really smell plot. Well, that or dog. Then he starts eating the help. It's a real brawl down here. This gator is taking Eat the Rich pretty literally. And if you ever wondered what Cujo would have been like with an alligator instead of a St. Bernard, wonder no more. He's really crocking this glass. Look, I know it's an alligator. Work with me here. Magically aware of where the plot was headed, Detective Cherry and Dr. Marissa show up at the party with their own special invitation. Eventually, they have to head back to the sewer. I love the random guy with the walker. Did he just win a Be an Extra in a movie contest or what? At any rate, Forster's definitely gonna run into the finale of slugs down here. Or the gator. Somewhere in this cloud of methane gas, Cherry digs into his bag for Chekhov's dynamite. I feel like this film might end with a bang. But first, Cherry needs to set up a detonator. It's like a Europe song down here.
It's the final countdown.
He's about to escape, but the manhole cover is blocked by this old lady. Too bad he doesn't have another deputy to feed to the gator. But with mere seconds left, Marissa gets the lady to move the car. She's clearly in a no parking zone. Forster escapes, but unfortunately he's still in St. Louis. Then the bomb goes off. Who's ready for some smoked gator tail? And now the chief wants to give him his old job back. I mean, the mayor got eaten, so he can probably do that. It's right there in the city charter. So, when do you think he ditched the redhead to start a bondsman business in Compton? But if you think that's the end, you've clearly never seen a horror movie before, because there has to be a swerve ending coming, right? Yeah, there it is. And that was Alligator. This was one of the staples of my childhood. It seemed like everyone I knew in elementary school had taped it off TV and wanted to watch it when you spent the night at their house. The movie is really good, thanks mostly to Robert Forster, who elevates the material almost effortlessly. Plus, there's a real low-budget charm to the shots of a regular-sized gator walking through sets of miniatures. I love that crap. But enough about that. Can Alligator earn itself a 5 barf bag rating? Let's go to the gore card. In terms of gross anatomy, Alligator delivers. We're treated to Civil War levels of amputations, consumed kitties, and pulverized partygoers. The gore in this movie is used for effect, and not just for the sake of gore, but that doesn't stop me from giving this movie 3 barf bags full of body parts. This sick flick has some teeth. Looking for more underwater mayhem? Then be sure to check out my review of Humanoids from the Deep. You'll find a link here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.